The camel has been cooking, and today you're going to see what I've been working on since the release of the brand new DLC, including the update. Well, actually, it's more about the free update than the DLC, so fear not, if you're not owning the DLC yet, you can still do this exact thing what we are building over here. And this has been, well, actually including the early access. So I've been working on that for over 2 weeks now. And the reason for that has been a little bit of a hard thing at the beginning. But especially after the full release version, it was a little bit simpler because I feel like Frontier has fixed certain things. But what am I even talking about 40 seconds into the video? Well, we are going to build an interactive Lemur Island experience, which is kind of a petting area, but then again it isn't. In that sense that lemurs don't really work, like, for example, as great, I have to say, frankly, as the donkeys, for example, or the chicken, or even the pigs and the goats, who have all very neat animations in a way that I very much love the interaction, but then again, the interaction requires quite some space, and on a barn, in a typical like petting zoo situation and environment, that all works out pretty well because mostly you have like a lot of soil, a lot of sandy areas, very open, very spacious, not that many plants, not that many scenery items. It's kind of boring, isn't it? It's very expected and obvious. And as you know me, and you know, if you're new to the channel for whatever reason, this is not what we do. Okay, we don't do the obvious. We do the exact opposite. We try out what is going on, and we try to break the system and see how far the system can go. And well, in the past I even managed to get my very own game mode thanks to the fact that I was breaking certain things until Frontier said to themselves, you know, we need to give that guy his own game mode called diorama mode, which I'm still kind of proud of that it exists. And so we do this again, hopefully to see if they can push the limits further in the future. I would definitely love this. But we are going to build an island with a hanging bridge crossing over to the other side, and we're going to have like a fully interactive pathway, like almost like a trail, leading from one end to the other, on which you are experiencing your time in the zoo together with the lemurs. Now, I have to say, you will encounter some chicken on this island, and I'm not really sure if that is a kind of bug at this point, but I figured as long as I don't have a DLC animal in my petting area, people will not start to roam around. As soon as I've put down a chicken or like a donkey or whatever, people will storm in to see these animals. But as long as I only have like ring-tailed lemurs in here, or capybaras, or like there's a bunch of animals in the free version of the game. Well, actually capybaras aren't free necessarily. The free animals are the lemurs, in fact, but those free animals, the lemurs, can be interactive animals with the guest. You will always have like a new node, people interaction with the animals, and or like actually relation to the animals, and you've got 3 options. It's either people flee from them, they accept people, you know, people can enter, or they interact with people. And if they interact with people, then you have an animal that can create these guest experiences, as it's called in the game. Now, I wanted to go all in for that, so we have all 3 species of the lemurs available in this lemur garden, as I figured that would be the coolest thing, to really have this huge space filled as well. And I had to skip a little bit of my realism aspect in here, as in that sense that it is looking super realistic. Obviously it isn't, but there are a couple of things where animals technically could escape in real life, and you know, I wasn't willing to put like a netting above it, because realistically you would be able to put like an airlock or something there, or any kind of different way of bringing people over to the island without having the lemurs escape. But then again, sometimes in these zoos they roam around kind of free anyways, so I don't know, it's kind of a you know, mixture between it's fine, but then again I'm kind of annoyed that it isn't. We just need something different in terms of the gate. Speaking of which, I had a very big hassle to bring this gate into the right positions, and I'm not sure, maybe I have or not, maybe I haven't, but put the word no mods on either the thumbnail or the screenshot or the title or whatever. And I want to quickly tell you guys what exactly I mean by that, because this build literally can be achieved 100% without any mods. You will see me using some mods in here, but they are most likely cosmetic, and I am making this bridge that Lighter did in the past kind of functioning by using a 2-meter wide path crossing the bridge. So the thing is, you can do this without mods. It's just a lot more finicky and a lot more complicated to be doing this, but it is technically doable. So but let's not focus on the bridge itself, because the bridge, like, no, I'm not talking about the hanging bridge, I'm talking about the lower one that we are crossing over. This one has been a cosmetic item that wasn't usable, and now it is, and it's actually used a lot now. I did use a 2-meter wide path, and then I made it invisible using the free build mod and the path extensions. However, as I said, you can still do this very much without. The bigger part of it is the habitat, including everything you can see on screen. The hanging bridge, the little staircases up these little 4 rocks or 4 hills I'm building over here, the little water elements where they can go over that little tiny pier items, like from one rock to the other, and having this entire garden, or even this little platform I'm building over here right now, where we will put the hygiene stations. They are all accessible by the people entering the guest experience. And now the question is, why do I put this little island to the very end? Well, because it's the way how these things work. So in order to have these guest experience working, you always need to have a animal that they can interact with. You need to have at least a guest gate enabled, like at least one that leads into the habitat. Something that is not in the list but is required is you need to have a pathway that is connected with it with itself. Now, I tested this a bunch, and it's not named anywhere or noted anywhere, but it is a fact. You need to have at least a circular pathway within your habitat. If you just have a path leading into your habitat and like leave it over there, at least for me, nothing happens. As soon as you build like a little circle, it's all fine. You can even connect it with itself. It doesn't really matter, but they start doing that thing. And the last thing you need, and this is where the magic happens, the hygiene station to wash their hands. And the hygiene station is mandatory for the guest to be at. Now that means wherever you put this will be the final destination of your people to go. So they will first of all look for an animal to have the interaction with, and once they're done, before they leave your habitat, they will need to go to the hygiene station. So this is why I put this all the way to the end of the habitat, to ensure that at least there will be crossing the bridge twice. Once to get there and second time to get back. They would also use, obviously, the other area to, pet the animals, but for whatever reason, animals stick to the first part over here. Maybe it's because of the gate over there. Maybe it's because there's a lot going on. I don't know. I don't care. The experience itself still works, so I'm kind of happy with it. But yeah, you can see over time, I was adding a couple of things. You may or may not see a couple of little skips and jumps here and there. This is because for half of the build I had my little one sitting basically next to me, or actually on me in any ways, because she desperately wanted to, watch it and gave me some clues. And there's some little things in here. As you guys loved my little fatherhood story last time so much, I thought, I'm gonna include this little story. So to give my wife a bit of free time, I took the little one with me to, have a look what I'm doing. Now the fact, don't get me wrong, we are barely any times, we're not doing this at all normally. However, the weather over here is outrageous the last couple of days. It's pouring down. We even have like a damage in our basement from all the water right now, and I need to make sure that that my office over here stays clean and also dry. But that's the reason we couldn't do anything, and we have almost played every puzzle and every game she had. So we decided to do this as like a little exclusion. She loved it, so maybe it wasn't the last time. But I had her over here, and since it's my daughter and she can't stop talking, just like I am, talking all the time, she also told me a couple of things to do. So, long story short, there will be a couple of things hidden in here that she decided, including the fact that some fences we used are now in a way purple, because purple is her favorite color. And in a second, you will even see that there's a little, as you can see over here, that little enrichment item also needed to be purple, because she wanted to have the little monkeys play a purple piano, because she said it had to be purple. And there will be a lot of purple bushes and purple plants all across here, because I asked her to decide for which plant. and she was very much only choosing the purple ones. So when she was gone, I added a couple of other ones. But the fun bit is I took her back, and once I was done, I was showing her around, and she noticed that I took out some of her plants. She decided to, and she was super mad that I took them out. Just like, where are the purple ones over here? We put down some ones over here. I remember. Where are they, Dad? Can you put them back in? And so I did put them back in. So there are maybe a little bit more purple plants in this build than I wish to have, but well, you know, she's the boss. She decided they will stay there forever. So yeah, that's why. And she's also kind of a big fan of the ring-tailed lemur, she told me. So there will be a couple more of the ring-tailed in there as well, because she asked me to have more of those in. So yeah, that's the story why I also, it also took me a little longer. You know, it wasn't that dramatic, but since having her next to me, she was very careful, and she was watching a lot more than being, you know, distracted by other things. But like after, I don't know, half an hour or so, she obviously started to get distracted by anything else, and then it became a bit more tiring to build and at the same time look after her, and then she started running around in the office and so on. So yeah, I was slower than usual, but not that dramatically slower. Anyhow, let's quickly talk about the design. That gave me a bit of a struggle, honestly. So Lider, if you're watching, I really hope you are happy with the result. I tried to tie this entire area in as much as I could into the what was it, Golden Crane? How was it called again? The restaurant. Anyways, that was one of the most brilliant builds I've ever seen that Lider did for us in here. And so I tried to build upon that one. And one thing that I was always looking at, because also Lider back then told me that he wanted to do this kind of red crown crane habitat over here to make the experience for the people on the terrace a lot better. I was always thinking there needs to be something special over here, and what better to have that experience you're watching of people enjoying this area from the terrace over there from the restaurant. I think that's a brilliant one. You can't even talk about noise problematics or so, because obviously there's terrace over there from people eating would be kind of noisy anyway, so it's not that dramatic, I guess. And having these animals over here who can deal with that, I think is the best choice. But I still try to put in a couple of more bamboo stuff. I used the bamboo kind of blueprints that Lider did, and I tried to tie it in, but then I also needed to bring in some more tropical plants to make it at least a little bit of an, you know, tropical experience, even though it isn't. And it's kind of the bit of a connection between Asia and, well, the tropical areas I did. However, I must also admit that I put the red crown crane, my god, in this habitat too, just simply because it belonged there. And I figured, even though these animals from the game's perspective don't go together, I feel like they could very much well go together in a habitat. And guests don't mind having the crane as an animal roaming around, so I was like, yeah, why not? These things are gone, by the way. I had a crash, and then these pipework I did was gone, and I decided eventually to leave it out because I wasn't the biggest fan of these fountains anyway. So, well, they're gone, but that's the only thing that was gone. And now we have a wonderful fly through, and you can already tell on the screen that everything is working. And you know, I could have pushed this gate underground and just left it open, but the game kept crashing on me. I don't know what it was, but whatever. I left it overground now, and gate is opening and closing. You can see there's like a little welcoming area with those two kind of statues, thingy, signs, whatever, from the lemur. And from over here, we are flying over the first bridge that brings you onto the first island. And I'm still very much happy with how it turned out. Like, I could do a couple more things over here, but I also needed a bit more careful with the traversable area, so I didn't go too crazy with stones and rocks on the ground that I usually do. But it honestly destroys, especially the area for the staff traversable area, a lot. Which is I figured it's the exact same area that you can look at. So whenever you want to check if your guest can roam around, you need to check the staff traversable area via your heat map menu. And once you see that, it's all good. But you can see people are using every single scenery element. And now this function reminds me a lot of Prehistoric Kingdom. And honestly, it is similar, like in a similar way it's working. You can see it's kind of nice, but then again, people do take some shortcuts. There is a bit of glitching here and there. There is a bit of floating, but honestly, I much prefer having that over not having this at all. By the way, if you look carefully, you can see the purple shine or glimmer or whatever you want to call that in these fences. It kind of looks good though, I have to admit. I tried to tone it down as much as possible, but she needed to have a bit of purple. So, well, there you go. Yeah, but you can see people roaming around here and using this, and we have some lemurs running around, climbing around. They have a lot of chances. Oh, there's a boxed one. I didn't notice that one. But yeah, you can now see fully in action people crossing the bridge over the other bridge, which I think is a beautiful sight to have in here. And we are flying over, following this dude going over the bridge, which I love. And then we've got lemurs also. There's also an eventual chicken, as I was saying. They're roaming around here too, to ensure that people go and have a look. And there you can see the hygiene station that they are all heading towards too. Yet again, I don't really care if they're only going here for that. The only thing I care for is that they do use the bridge and it looks freaking amazing. And having one or two person eventually go down here to the left to pet an animal is totally fine for me. I will maybe tweak a little thing here and there to ensure that they have to go over here. So I may actually put a feeding station on this side of the island so that the keeper will always bring stuff over. Speaking of which, you can see the keeper now coming over here. Oh no, it's not a keeper. That dude just looked exactly like a keeper. But yeah, it's kind of cool. The keeper just roams over here and then brings us some food into these feeding stations too. It's kind of lovely. And just as to make sure, you have seen the lemur just climbing around here. You see the people traversing. You see everything working, and I'm so happy. Also, I'm very happy with how it looks visually. I think with all the plants and stuff, it's the exact balance I wanted to have from having these islands and making it look realistic. Having some stuff over here in the water looking a bit more murky, a bit more overgrown, but not too overgrown. And just kind of look at it. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it looking freaking amazing? I love it. And because it's looking too good, in a couple of seconds we will actually go into the game and I will show you around so you can actually tell it's working in-game too. So this is the aerial view, and now enjoy the in-game view of it. I really appreciate you watching, so I now hand you over into the capable hands of the real-time Rudy, and I talk to you, well, after the cut, I guess. Right, and because it's just too good to not see in-game, here's a final little look at the finished island in-game. And so you can really tell now that the people are walking over the bridge without any further issue whatsoever. The only trick, as I've talked about, is that we have a destination in the end, and this is basically the hygiene station, as you can see over here. This is part of their experience, so they have to go there, and this is how you get them over there. However, they will also pet some animals if they're eventually over here, but it appears that most of the animals just stay mostly on the first island, which I could technically solve with putting like a lot of food items in the back, I guess, but you know, for the moment I'm quite happy with the way it is. So yeah, I also find it very funny that I needed to put down some chickens before people started walking over, but with the little fix of making the habitat only having a few people roaming around over the island, it is also super nice in terms of the amount of people that actually walk over. But yeah, what can I say? This new mechanic is, for me personally, is a game changer. It just opens up so much. I mean, look at this. This is basically done without mods. I mean, yes, granted, this bridge over here, I talked about that, is still because of mods, but you could still use that otherwise if you fancy doing so. Just needed to have that a little bit more wide. But other than that, it's, I don't know, everything is just so different and so cool. Having people actually walk the stuff you build just like your animals use it is so different for me personally, and just kind of makes me feel so happy, and well, also opens up for what the future of Planet games can bring, because the technology is there, you know, and we always know that they may actually use this as a test scenario for a new Planet game, whatever that will be, but testing out certain things that work within here, and also kind of performance-wise, I haven't found any big difference with this one. I mean, this park was anyways already having a little bit of a hit here because of all these dense habitats, but other than that, I can't really tell anything negative. This has been one of my favorite builds in the past because it brought so many new things to the table. This is by far the coolest interactive habitat I've ever built in this game because it works now and because people can use it. I mean, look at that. Even you have a person down here. It's almost looking like as if he's waiting for fish, but he's like standing on this little thing over here. And you know, scrap these little glitches here and there. I don't care, you know. I can absolutely deal with these little glitches. I am not at all worried about this. Yes, we have some people doing some Jesus stuff and so on, but oh my goodness me, I'm so much more happy with having that than not having this. So there are like, you can literally take some outrageous shots that are just so cool. I mean, just look at this. I mean, just the fact. I mean, you know, you just take that family, put it away because that they are just kind of destroying the illusion. But you can just pretty much put them here. You know, there you go, or refix it, and then you go back in that shot. And I mean, just look at that. Having people walking over that bridge is absolutely phenomenal, and I just love the fact that this works and people actually use this bridge. Like, there's no even questioning if it's working or not. They just have the ability to walk over that bridge and have a full cycle moment here, and I don't know, everything ties together and I'm so happy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, there's only one thing I need to tell you. Please sub to the channel because honestly it's still over 50% of people watching my videos and also coming back to the channel are not subscribed, and you can see we are moving slightly and slowly towards that 100k. We've almost hit 90k, so you can help me now actively reach these 90k a lot quicker than I hope to, because you just need to press that subscribe button. It's for free and you help me out, and the only difference for you is that you are sub to the channel. The rest is history because YouTube does whatever YouTube wants to. So you'll have the same stuff on your friend page anyways, because at this time, for the first of all, you don't know, but YouTube has changed so much recently that the front page you have or your feed is heavily dependent on your browsing behavior rather than your subscriptions. They still matter in a way that you have reoccurring videos from those people you subscribe to, but if you're not subscribed, you're basically letting the algorithm choose for you that your favorite creators won't be appearing if YouTube decides that those videos are not going to be pushed. It's a bit of a random thing, but I just wanted to quickly give you that information because I didn't have that for a long time now. Also, I'm sorry I keep on rambling about this, but I'm so mesmerized by what I'm seeing on screen. Isn't that awesome, having people running from A to B? Anyways, I was asking you to subscribe to the channel. If you like the mechanic, do though. Anyways, I talk to you in the next one. Have a wonderful week, guys. Yeah, have a lovely time and stay safe. Goodbye.